Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since the last video, but today we're going to be doing a bit of work on the Range Rover Classic. The temperature's been dropping a bit now, so I really want to get the heater fixed. What happened with the old one is that it caught on fire essentially due to the motor for the blower becoming seized or whatever, and drawing the current through and it set on fire whilst I left the car idling. So this video is going to be on how to take up the dashboard, and then I'll do a separate video on changing the heater itself as well. So without further ado, we'll get started. So here's the roof inside. Like I said, the the old one actually got burnt up here, so this is a replacement I put in a couple of years ago. It's the same shame it's got these 4 holes in it, but there we are. Quick thing to note is that when you park up, you want to make sure that you can open both doors fully, just to give you a bit better access. And then the first job I'm going to start with is taking the steering wheel off. I think you can probably take the dash out without it, but it just gives you a bit more room, especially if you're doing it on your own. So the first thing we're going to do is this cover is just going to pull up. And you want to try and make sure it's a direct pull out. You can see on the back there's 4 pegs. If you start to try and lever one side too much, then those pegs can snap off. If you've got your cruise control and everything wired in, then there's a plug you can remove there. But next job's going to be take this nut off, and then I've got a homemade puller just to help pull the steering wheel out. I've got a 27mm socket for the nut. Just undo that, it's not particularly tight. And there's a washer underneath as well. So we'll lift that off. And here is the homemade tool I have. It's literally just a bit of bar. It's got a nut welded on one side and 2 holes here. And then I've got 2 bolts that are going to go in. Okay, so next up I'm going to target trying to get this driver kick panel off. And to do that, first we're going to take off this trim here. So the vent, that's just going to pull out, and there I've got a bit of sticky foam tape just to help seal it. But the way that works is, into focus, you can see you've got the peg there, at the bottom there's nothing, so you literally pull the bottom out first and then it should slide out. Nothing too difficult about that. And then there should be 2 screws up in here. So that's come out, and what I'll do is I'll put these screws in a bit of masking tape and keep that with this, so that I know exactly where everything's going to go back. And then all around there are screws holding this in. 1, 2, drop that out and then just unplug that connection there. Okay, so next up's going to be to get the clocks out, and there's just 4 screws underneath holding that in. So you can see that's one there, and there's one behind, that's it there, and then 2 more on the other side on that frame. So this ducting I've just left hanging down there. There's no need to remove that for the job I'm doing today. So yeah, I'll undo these 4 screws, and then some cables on the back of the Speedo and the Speedo cable as well. Okay, so yeah, there's no actual Speedo cable on this, it's all electronic, but there's 3 connections on the back, so as you can see them there. And to get the cover off the back, it's just a bit of a pull to get out the clips at the bottom, but you can see that that's why a lot of them are broken if you buy them second hand, because they can get quite fragile and be quite stiff in there. But I would recommend taking a photo of those, it'll help you when you go back. Okay, so there you can see the dash top on this side is pretty free to just come up. You can see as well that it's got the diff lock light and the fog light here. That's because it's from a much earlier Range Rover, but they are completely interchangeable. So next up is we're going to work on this wood trim here. Need to take that out before we get the top out. So all these are going to be the same, just going to pull out. Same method. And then again we're going to have screws up inside there. Usually 2 on each one, that one's missing. And then underneath as well, there's going to be a number of screws, so you're going to need a stubby screwdriver to get them out. But yeah, and then once that's pulled out, the clock you can disconnect once you've pulled out a little bit, and the same goes with the switches here for the electric mirrors. Okay, so you can see I've undone all the screws on this, and this has practically just fallen off. So next up, I can just disconnect everything here. Try and be quite careful with these connections, and I've already taken a photo just so I remember how it all goes back. That's one for the clock, and then for the windows as well, and then this piece we can just get it out of here. So you will have noticed I've pulled the radio out just to get that one screw that was underneath. I couldn't get in otherwise. I think if you've got a standard radio, it should be able to come out, but if not, I'm just gonna, well, now that it's out, I'm just gonna disconnect the cables at the back, get rid of that altogether, and then we'll start on the other side, this cover for the blower motors. Okay, so to be able to get this upper dash out, there's actually some bolts underneath, but this whole panel here, that's blocking it, and this, you can see there, can be split into 2, but it's much easier to take out all in one. There's some of the bolts we've taken out already. The ones for the wood, they go penetrate through this into the upper dash. And then underneath there is a bolt on a stud there, and there's 2 on that side. But to take that out, first we're going to have to go for this middle console piece. So 2 screws, 1 on each side for that. And then we're just going to be unbolting like the cigarette lighter. And I slowly work our way through. These pieces here, they just pull off, if I remember correctly. So yeah, they just pull out like that, push back on. Let's take that out. And then all these switches I'm going to be labelling behind there. and make sure they go back in the correct place. So yeah, I'll probably do a sped up time lapse of this next piece. Okay, so that's the lower piece out, and there's then some screws up here, 8mm hex, and then I'm going to have to, obviously here I removed them when they was burnt, because they were burnt away, but I've got the ducting here, so I'm going to have to take this ducting off as well. You should just pull off like that, screw that undone, and then we'll pull this upper dash piece off. Okay, so that's the complete dashboard removed. You can see here where I had the fire previously, like I mentioned before, that cable's melted through. It's all pretty horrible, so it's a job we wanted to get done for a while to get that out. But yeah, when removing the dashboard, most important thing is that you're either labeling everything or taking plenty of pictures. You can see on a lot of the plugs I've got annotations that at least I understand them, and that makes sure that when you put it back, everything's going to go back in the right place. Which, yeah, if you do need to put it back, I'm not going to do a separate video for that, but it is literally the reverse order of taking it out. It's nothing too hard. And that there's what the spare looks like. So you see you've not got the big hole in the top here where it's melted away, and inside's going to be in a lot better condition as well. There's some chopping going on with the wires, but I can put in the original wires from mine and make that work. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for at least one person. Next video is going to be to take the heater itself out. I'll do that as a separate video, but if you're interested in that, then make sure you subscribe so you get notifications when I upload. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Bye.